Alright, let's talk about this. It's gonna be an interesting video. I have quit my job and I don't have anything else lined up. Yep. Yep, we're gonna get into it. So before we get into it, just a quick ask. If you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, that would be really helpful. It helps promote it on the YouTube algorithm and overall helps this channel grow from like a super small channel that it is today into a very small channel tomorrow. But yeah, if you could like this video and subscribe, that would be really helpful. Alright, so I want to share a piece of news with you all. I've just made the scariest decision that I think I've ever had to make. I've quit my job and I don't have anywhere else to go. I don't have another full-time job lined up. I don't plan on having another full-time job lined up. Yeah, wait. Before you think I'm crazy, there's method to this madness, I promise. There's a little bit more to the story here and I'm going to get into it in this video. Towards the end, I'm going to be talking about what I am going to be doing, so please stick around for that. I think if you're watching this video, then you'll find it pretty interesting. So yeah, I think, how did we get here? Like, how did I get to the point in my life where I was quitting my job with nowhere to go? That's pretty drastic. So let's just back up a second. Like I've had a job every single day, or basically every single day, since the day I turned 13. I've never not actively been in employment. So throughout all of my high school or senior school, whatever you guys call it now, throughout all of university, throughout my master's degree, throughout everything, I've always had employment. I've always been working for someone else since the day I turned 13. So yeah, I decided not to do that anymore. Pretty interesting. Before I start talking about what I am going to be doing, so some of the reasonings, I guess, behind doing this pretty drastic decision and doing it now and choosing to do it now. I've realised that I don't really need the approval of other people in order to do something that I want to do. So I noticed that like in my personal life, I'm a trans woman, I'm transitioning, and I realised that I don't need anyone's approval to do that. I mean, beyond like medical approval, right? But in terms of actual societal approval, no thank you. Like I'm happy being me and I'm gonna channel that happy energy and it's gonna be great. And in my work life, I've realised that I want to work on really interesting stuff, like the really interesting projects, the stuff that actually makes a difference, not stuff that looks better for someone else's bottom line. I want to work on really interesting things. And I've realised that I've been waiting for a company to like serve me those opportunities. There have been those opportunities. I've definitely done stuff like, you know, the work I did to build a new bank from scratch was pretty insane. The work I did when I was at Google was incredible and I loved having that as an opportunity. The work I did with the team at The Guardian is great. I started off my life in pharmaceuticals and in care space and helping product marketing teams build amazing stories and getting the right products into the hands of the right patients, or what we thought were the right patients. I loved all of it. Most recently I've been in the public sector and it's been great. I've literally won awards because of that work, and it's been a set of experiences which I've been very privileged and very lucky to have. But I've realised that I've been like kicked back and waiting for other people to serve me those opportunities, and it doesn't really make much sense. You know, the world's a very big place and I can just go and find those opportunities myself. Yeah, a little teaser about what we're going to get into at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around and also like and subscribe this video. Thank you. I read this somewhere and I don't know whether it's true, but it feels true and maybe that's good enough. Is that it's the same or a really similar chemical reaction in your brain. And again, this could be completely false. I could be spreading misinformation here. I apologise if I am, but it feels real to me. And so I guess that's all that really matters. I remember hearing something that, this is a few years ago now, that it's the same or it's a really similar chemical reaction in your brain when you're really scared as to when you're really excited. And when I heard that, I was like, no way, that's like, come on, that's definitely like fake news and whatever. I tried it out. The next few times I found myself being like getting into a scary situation at work or in the public, I told myself no. Like I stopped, I pressed the timer on my watch and stopped the world for a second and said, no, I'm not scared. I'm actually excited about this, and it's worked. I don't know whether that's me training my brain to do that, or whether that is actually just how humans work. I don't really know. Maybe I should go check it out and find it out for real. But I almost don't want to break that magic that I have. For me, when I'm really scared about doing something, so for example, quitting my job with literally nowhere to go, that's pretty scary. I'm really excited. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be the best experience. I hope you follow along for the journey. So again, like and subscribe. Something that I think that the pandemic helped put in focus. So in the UK at the moment, the COVID pandemic is kind of hitting really hard. We're seeing the repercussions of families meeting up over Christmas and all that sort of stuff. This isn't a video about COVID, this is a video about me and quitting my job. But going through this experience of a global pandemic has taught me that there aren't any guarantees in life. I could have the most stable employment and I could still be made unemployed. I could have best track record in a job, and tomorrow things outside of my control, my manager's control, my companies, who I work for, my employer's control, could change, and I would have no way to react to that beyond kind of just accepting those consequences. I'm not saying that's here. Like, I've made an active choice to leave and to hand my notice in and to quit, but it's really interesting because I think those who are in full-time roles, there's this sort of illusion that it's really safe. And whilst the good times are going, that's true, right? A full-time role is perfect. There are people who I know who have been in their full-time roles for the best part of 5 or 10 years. It's a very long period of time. But don't for a second think that those people might not lose their jobs overnight just because they've been there for that long. Perhaps, you could argue that there's more financial support at that point. If you've been in the company for so long, they pay you off and get redundancy and all that sort of stuff. And that's fine, but points still remain. There are no guarantees. And working for somebody else makes me feel like I'm a step away from that. I don't get to decide, because I'm not the owner. I don't get to decide of all of the organisations I've ever worked for previously, all of the employers. I've never had to decide projects we go and work for, which industries we might be targeting, how we run a business. Like, all of those elements have been largely abstracted away, because I am one employee working as part of a bigger team, and maybe that team, I'm back in my first role in the pharmaceutical industry. I think in total that company had like 300,000 employees. I'm only one of those. Therefore, my ability and my agency to be able to make change and be able to further secure up elements so that I can feel like there is more of a buffer there if bad times hit, isn't there? That doesn't exist. That's fine, but also what we're learning at the moment is that the good times end at some point. Thousands are unemployed right now in the UK, and none of those individuals asked to be unemployed. Working for somebody else, I'm going to be forever in this loop of not being able to provide myself any amount of guarantees. It's a little insight, I guess, into what we're going to get into right at the end of the video, so stick around to the end. Don't worry, I haven't just made this rash decision. I didn't just wake up this morning and go, right, that's it, I quit. Don't worry. It's hopefully a very well-informed decision which I've made. I've talked it over with some of my best friends in life, and every single person who I've talked to so far, and I've kind of shared what I'm going to share with you towards the end of this video, they've said, yeah, absolutely, go do it. Why wouldn't you? And whilst I'm aware that there is a painful reality difference between what my closest friends and trusted individuals might say versus what the open market might say about my skill sets and my offerings and whatever, having that validation, even when I've asked for it to be really brutal, really pull my ideas apart, has always ended up net positive. And for me, that at that point, my closest friends, the people who I rely on the most in life to be able to provide me direction, be able to help them too, right? It's not one-sided, hopefully. Once we're at that point and those most trusted people in my life are telling me that, yeah, I think you should go for it, I would only ever have myself to blame if I didn't. I don't want to be one of these old, bitter people ranting on Twitter about how I could have done it, how I could have done whatever I'm about to tell you towards the end of the video. So I decided to do it. Now's the time. So yeah, I guess that leads on to one of the last points I have before I share with you what I'm going to be doing, is that I would never know until I tried. So I would, and I have done for years now, I've woken up almost every single day. Well, I have woken up every day, but I've woken up almost every day thinking, what if today's the day? What's stopping me? There's always been some reasoning and rhyme to why now is the right time. I realised that I'm going to beat myself up in the future if I don't do it now. I've done it. I've quit my job and I'm going out into the world, and I've never been more excited. One of the things I'm most interested for is to be able to continue growing my skill set of what I have, but in a sort of range and breadth, which I wouldn't be able to do if I was just an employee in somebody else's organisation and somebody else's business. So what I mean by that is, like, as an employee, you might have stretch assignments and you might be able to work on stuff in your 2 hours of spare time you have in a week or whatever it might be. I'm not saying that those who are employed don't have any opportunities to grow. That's quite clearly untrue. Like, there are lots of different opportunities to grow and you should definitely take those. What I'm suggesting is that actually by going at this alone and not relying on somebody else to have abstracted away all of these other elements of running a business, doing all of that, I let it slip. By letting somebody abstract this stuff away for me, I'm not learning it. That's madness, because this knowledge is valuable knowledge to have, and so why wouldn't I go and seek it out myself? Also, by going at it alone and not having the support of an employer or an organisation behind you, it means I will be forced to learn at a rate that is substantially higher than I'd be able to get to if I were to be working for somebody else. In the same principle of elements are abstracted away from you if you are an employee. And that's not a bad thing. Like some of the boring, I don't know, I'm not going to offend people here, but some of the boring tax stuff or whatever it might be, right, is abstracted away. If you work in tax, I'm sure it's very interesting. Please tell me more about that. It wasn't a dig at people who do tax. But what I mean is that I'm forced to have to learn that stuff. And that in the long run, over the whole idea of compounded interest, if you compound that knowledge over time, I'm going to end up in an infinitely better place than somebody who's spent all of their career working for somebody else. I think at the moment, or I'm placing a bet that at the moment I have a healthy amount of working for somebody else and being a good employee, so that I have some really core skill sets which are valuable in the market. And then also a healthy amount of I want to learn about all of this other stuff that has always been abstracted away from me, that I can kind of combine those two things together. That's the idea. That leads me to the very end of this video. Well, not the very end, almost the end. What am I going to do? I kind of let it slip a little bit in the video. I couldn't help myself. I'm going to be starting my own business. Cannot wait to share it with the world. I'm just putting the final touches to a few different legal documents and stuff like that. So I might come back to this video and comment in the description below, or pin a comment of mine to the top comment where you can find the stuff like the website and things like that. Please check it out. I think it'd be really cool. The next video I make after this will be a dedicated video to my business, where I will go into insane amounts of detail about what I'm doing, where I'm going to be doing it, what my offerings are, how I'm going to be running the business, everything like that. And just a little tidbit, just a little bit of like interesting knowledge ahead of that. It's an aim of mine to be incredibly radically transparent throughout this entire process. I want everybody who could possibly care about what's going on inside of this business to be able to know what's going on. That means future competitors, that means future potential clients, that means everybody that I'm legally allowed to talk to. I think that the age of being secretive in business is over, and I'm going to try and prove it by trying to make this company of mine work, by not relying on those old tactics of being secret and hiding things and misdirections and mistruths and all of those sorts of things like that have plagued the business world for years and years. I'm not going to do that, and that could be my ultimate failing. I don't know. If you're interested by that and you want to learn more, then please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I will be uploading very regular videos about this, and in the community tab, which you only get access to if you subscribe. I'll be sharing links to things like a business plan and also some financial sheets too, so that you can get some really in-depth knowledge about what's going on inside of this business. So make sure you're subscribed, because without that you won't get the notification that I have put something in that community box, and it will only be there for a few hours. I'm trialing something out to see whether that's a way of working for YouTube or not. So if you're very interested in learning some more about that, make sure you click the bell icon as well, because that will send you a notification when I do those things, so that the few hours that it's up for, you will know about it. Yeah, so that's everything. I quit my job. Crazy times, very crazy times. As I mentioned, I'm going to have a whole separate video coming soon about what the business is and what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to try and do it, and all that sort of great stuff. But for now, this is just a bit of a story about how I quit my job, why I quit my job, and what's coming in the near future. So if that's excited you and you kind of like it, then maybe like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks everybody. Have a lovely day. Bye.